A popular sweetener called erythritol, which is found in most stevia products. It is not stevia, but it's found in those products, in many of them, has been linked to some serious health risks. According to this new study, we got Dr. Kohli joining us, looking fabulous in lilac.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Kohli,
Coordinating with Dr. Jackson.
That's right.
thank you. You know, we have to convey professional solitude here.
Not a professional.
Yeah. But you know, we have to get right into this, Doc. What is erythritol? How risky is it? Yeah, like, should we be consuming it? Talk to us, please.
Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, guys, and it's actually found naturally in a lot of fruits and fermented foods as well. We even have it in our body, so it's in our eye, it's in our urine, it can be found in our serum or our plasma. But what this study showed, which really knocked our socks off because we thought it was safe, the FDA called it safe in 2001, it showed that if you consume large amounts and you have very high blood levels of erythritol because you eat a lot of artificial sweeteners.
Or like a drink too? Like
Drinks, all the things that have them. You know, so for example, a pint of that keto ice cream, that can increase your platelets sticking together by 1,000-fold. They can increase your erythritol levels by 1,000-fold, which can cause your blood cells to clot. And that can lead to heart attacks and strokes.
Sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah.
So I would be real careful. I mean, I'm assuming you're healthy, but especially in patients, for example, diabetics. You know, diabetics, we encourage them to not eat sugar.
Sure.
We encourage them to eat these artificial sweeteners, and what we see is that risk in them is twofold higher with eating this. So something we thought was safe, and here I think it's really the amount of the erythritol that we're getting that's the most important.
I think it's in Emily, can you check this? Is it a Monster energy drink? We're going to check that because that's also, people take a lot of that during the day.
I think it is. And the tricky thing is sometimes you don't even know that it's in there. You know?
So why might a product containing erythritol not show it in the ingredient list?
And this is a tricky thing. So the FDA sort of says what has to not has to be declared on the ingredient list. And since this is naturally found, naturally occurring, and we thought it was safe, in fact, we don't even think it causes a lot of the laxative effects that some of the other sugar alcohols do, we said, oh, we probably don't need to put it on there. And so a lot of products might be swimming around out there containing erythritol, not actually knowing. So I would say do not use products with artificial sweeteners, particularly if you're diabetic, have heart disease risk factors, until we have more data.
And they are confirming it is in Monster drink. I just know that's a really popular energy drink. Sorry about that. Wow. Switching gears, Dr. Kohli, we'd love to have your take on this as well. New information prompted the U.S. Energy Department to believe that an accidental lab leak in China most likely caused the coronavirus pandemic. Now, it was originally believed that the virus was passed to people from an animal. What do we know so far about the new intelligence? Is this science catching up to itself? Is this more political? Is there any conspiracy? What are you feeling about this?
Yes, yes, and yes. So, I mean, I was honestly surprised to see this because as a scientist and a physician, for the longest time, I thought it was a natural origin.
Yeah.
But I do think this new information, which we don't know much about because they're keeping it under wraps. Now, they're going to be presenting it March 8th and 9th, and we'll get a little bit more granularity about what it is. But I think this new information first keeps us humble. It makes us realize that science can sort of change. And I know Jeff is nodding here, but a couple years ago, everyone who said that it was a lab leak was labeled a conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
And now this is us acknowledging that it may have had an origin that may not have been entirely natural. Now, we don't know that for sure because the confidence in this data is low, according to the Department of Energy, and the FBI says it's only medium. And some institutions and scientists are still saying that.
Yeah, 4 intelligence agencies are saying it's not.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't yet know. I think that what it does for me is put a big question mark up there. But I do think it's important for us to try to find out.
I think it is too, and some people say it's not, but I think it is because I've gotten in trouble to just questioning 2 years ago whether the theory was where it came from. Just questioning it. And you weren't allowed to do that. That's why I have a problem with it. Now we're questioning it now, and it's one of those things which are like, it might be, and they're like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's the same, it's like the same issue. Whenever people want to press me on an issue, I get in trouble, they're labeled for it, and then 2 years later it unravels, and they're like, you know what, it's not really a big deal anyway. That's where my problem comes in, because it's very political, and I'm not, but I still get that same label. And we funded that Wuhan lab. US dollars went into that lab. So it is kind of a big deal, as much as we want to brush it off.
I mean, I would say, Jeff, if you say something, you have to have data. And if you bring up a theory, and today this theory has data, that it may actually be plausible. And we have to ask the why. Why do we care? Well, we care because it's going to help prepare us for the next one. It's important for us to know if this was a result of some sort of lab leak, then we need to improve our biosecurity protocols.
Right.
And if this occurred naturally, then we need to improve our pandemic response protocol. So I think the why here is really important. But I sort of agree with you that we're very quick to be dismissive. But I think as long as you have data backing you, you should feel confident saying what you're saying.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, wow, lesson learned, and I appreciate you saying that too. It's also interesting because we're looking at the bird flu transmitting possibly to humans, and I was thinking about the bat transmitting, and then I think maybe it's not the bat in the wet market. So it changes a lot of things globally all around. Dr. Kohli, thank you so much for being here, answering all our questions. DBL Nation, follow the doc on Twitter at Payal Kohli MD, and check out our new podcast, Heart of Medicine, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Exciting, it says in the prompter. We'll be right back.
That was clearly the first time we all saw it.
That was very neat.
Yeah, that was
We'll
great
be right
stuff.
back.